Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of the BirDie Golf Club Podcast. I've been struggling to get my words out sort of all evening, so I'm hoping I can do it now. This episode is really great because it might not be something that you think would be something that you could spend over an hour talking to someone about. But David Klenk, Dave, who I've got to know through this podcast and through our interactions on Instagram and using his products as well, is just one of those people in golf where you connect and could have never have spoken before because his love for the game just comes through and it shines through in this episode. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. Dave is co-owner, I believe. He might correct me on that. He might correct me on that through this podcast. It was recorded quite a few weeks ago of Handsome Squire, who make some amazing, authentic Italian leather scorecard wallets, yardage book holders, and other golf accessories that we get into as well. And Dave just wanted to create something that was for every golfer, but really just gives them that feeling of being a pro. And that's how they make you feel having been able to have your monogram on it, your logo on it, whatever it may be, just gives you that feeling when it's in your back pocket of, yeah, I'm doing it. So enjoy this chat with Dave. He's a lovely, lovely guy. And we're actually going to have another chat with him coming up same week, 2 episodes with Dave because he's such a great guy. And the next episode is going to be pretty special because, well, Dave went to a little event that was held, what, 10 days ago? By the time the podcast comes out on Thursday, we're talking, let's do some quick maths, about 12 days previously. So I think might know what that is, just a little place, Augusta National Golf Club. So we've got another episode with Dave coming on Thursday, and I know after you listen to this chat, you're going to welcome it because Dave is a great guy and I hope you enjoy this episode. So without much further ado, let's get to our chat with David Klenk from Handsome Squire. You moved down to North Carolina.
Yep, just within the past few weeks, but
Okay.
I've been based in New York for past 10 years. So
Okay, yeah. And how you finding the move down? Has it been good?
it's been great. Yeah, it's actually pretty seamless. But still have a lot of family and friends and connections in the New York area. Was working there for many years. I grew up about an hour outside New York, so it's always been sort of home base.
Mm-hmm.
But went to school here in North Carolina many years ago. Actually went to Wake Forest University, which is the alma mater of Arnold Palmer and a number of other great American golfers. That has a great golf program. I sad to say I was not considered for the golf program at Wake Forest, but it's there's a huge golf pedigree down here in North Carolina. Like I mentioned to you before, we're about an hour from Pinehurst, and
Yeah.
there's just you drive down the highway, you drive outside any city, and there's just courses everywhere. So it's a great sort of golf culture down here. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It makes sense to move with what you do
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
wanting to play more golf. I noticed behind you something that I really want to do at some point, which is very golf nerd, but I do appreciate it, is the pencil collection.
Absolutely, man. And this is I have got about 30 or 40 here, and it's not even half of the courses I've been to. I'm actually trying to I made a list recently of all the courses that I've played that I have
Yeah.
not actually and so I'm trying to talk to friends in the golf industry who can send me a pencil or a scorecard. I collect scorecards, pencils, and I've got some ball marker magnets as well. You can't see it from the camera, but I've got a
Yeah.
whole separate ball marker one as well. When you have the golf nerd bug like we do, it's you just have to do it. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm feeling really bare in here now. The only thing I've got
well, you
that's of interest is you can't quite see it, but someone the other day gave me a Masters cap
oh,
for
nice.
Augusta. So I
Oh,
feel a
very
little bit
cool.
fraudulent because I've
But
not
no,
been there, but it
that's
is what
okay.
it is.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of people that you see Masters gear around here all the time, and not everyone has. has
Yeah.
actually been there themselves. There's a reason why everyone goes and buys, hundreds of dollars worth of swag. It's to go bring it back for their friends and family. So I've never been myself actually, but that's on my bucket list for sure.
It's hard to get
But yeah,
tickets. It's hard to get tickets, though,
it
isn't
is.
it?
It's.
You know?
I think it's arguably the hardest ticket in sports to get. You
Yeah.
really need to. You either need to win the lottery. I know they have a lottery every year. I know a few people who have won it or have gotten a practice round ticket from that. And then it's if you can, either know someone from Augusta who has like the Augusta community gets a lot of legacy tickets.
Hmm.
They do a great job taking care of the Augusta citizenry down there, which is great. And then obviously like corporate tickets and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and people in the golf world are always always going down there for that. So one of these days I'm gonna get down there, but that's a huge bucket list. I've been to a few U.S. Opens and a PGA, but never a British, never Augusta. So
I can see
got to get
behind you
those down
the
at some point.
Oakmont. You got Oakmont, the US Open flag there from Oakmont.
Exactly. Yeah. That was 2016. Yeah, that was when Dustin Johnson won at Oakmont.
Nice.
So I used
Yeah.
to work I got my start in golf many years ago, caddying when I was in high school and college, and then in my mid 20s, I worked for the Metropolitan Golf Association, which is
Hmm.
basically the metropolitan New York area. And worked there for about 3.5, 4 years. Loved it. It was great. I was doing like sort of tournament administration, volunteer operations, merchandise. A lot of the seeds that eventually went into Handsome Squire were planted years ago
Mm.
at the MGA. And the flag you see behind me was the farewell gift when I left. My colleagues got together, got a authentic Oakmont flag, and had one of our local players, a local pro, sign it. That's the signature you see in the top corner.
Hmm.
A guy from the New York area. His name's Mike Miller. Great player. He's played in, I think, at least one U.S. Open. He played in this one. He's played in a few tour events, but mostly like he's still grinding it out on the minor leagues. And just like a great player who kind of came up in our area, and this was his first U.S. Open, so got that signed and framed, and just like yeah, it's the centerpiece of my golf collection. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what a parting gift. Some people get flowers, some people get, a bottle of wine, but that,
yeah, they went out of their way to, and like I used to do a lot of the merchandising and the gift giving we would give to clubs and VIPs. And so they had to go to the vendor that I used for frames behind my back to get it framed. And they're like, don't tell Dave, like this is for him. So it was
a
I
real
was so
inside
touched
job.
that they truly an inside job, and they went above and beyond to surprise me. So yeah, I'm still very close with friends and old colleagues at the MGA. Honestly, a big amount of the work that we did for our first year last year for Handsome Squire was doing some giveaways and VIP gifts for some of their like huge events in the Met area, the
Hmm.
metropolitan New York area. So they've been like huge supporters of the brand so far. So it's been great.
That's amazing. I think that's one thing over here we don't realize is like the scale of golf in America because, we have great courses over here, and obviously
Certainly.
the distance between them we view as great. If I was to drive up to Scotland, it would feel like a big trip to go up to Scotland. We're talking 200, maybe 300 miles, but in America, that's not really anything, is it? And
Exactly. Yeah.
being based in that New York sort of golf scene. I mean, how many? If you get like a rough estimate, how many golf clubs are there in that area, in that Met sort of area?
So the metropolitan New York area, think of it as if you just drew a 50 to 100 mile radius around New York City. And what that does, that encompasses three different states. You have New York City itself.
Hmm.
You have the lower portion of Connecticut, which is where I grew up caddying. You have
Hmm.
all of Long Island, where you've got Shinnecock Hills,
Yeah.
National Golf Links, Garden City, all those. You have northern New Jersey, where you have Baltusrol, Plainfield, all these other amazing. And then you've got southern New York State, Hudson River Valley, Sleepy Hollow. I mean, just it's an embarrassment of riches. We used to
Yeah.
joke about it all the time that you could just throw darts at a dartboard or darts at a wall with a list of all of our clubs, and you would have a great lineup for the year. I think actual number of facilities, I think it's north of 250 golf clubs. Not a good amount of those are private. Still, a number of really good public courses.
Yeah.
Bethpage State Park, obviously, for coming up for the Ryder Cup this year, is sort of the
Mm.
crown jewel of Met area public golf. But there's some really good public courses in New Jersey and other good ones on Long Island as well. But that's kind of yeah. If you just think of it of that like New York bubble, I think it's honestly north of 250 actual facilities you could go to, and it's just it's the greatest concentration of golden age of American golden age golf architecture.
Hmm.
So the Tillinghast, not as much Donald Ross. Donald Ross has a few in the area. He actually is more famous for Pinehurst and doing a few other
Mm.
um, courses around the area. But Devereaux Emmett is another great golden age one. Who am I forgetting? CB McDonald and Seth Rayner. You've got Fisher's Island, Sleepy Hollow. They did.
Mm.
Piping
Fisher's
Rock is
Island
a
looks amazing. Fisher's Island looks
it's
like an unbelievable.
I'm very lucky. I have it up on my board. I
Oh
got to go
wow!
play there years ago. I won't bore you too much with this, but
No, please
my
do.
three of my
Pour
best
away.
friends. I forgot who I'm speaking to. Yeah,
Yeah.
and who your audience is. Three of my best friends from the MGA and Westchester Golf Association, Metropolitan PGA. All of our offices were in the same building, so we all got to know each other. And so I had some friends and some other organizations in the building, and we started 13 years ago doing a end of year match with each other, just 2-on-2 best ball with strokes. None of us are ace players. We're all between 8 and 18 handicaps. So, but our friend was just, he knew every pro at every club in the area, and he was always working with a lot of the pros, and they were always offering a professional favor. Hey, if you ever at the end of the season want to come out for a round, let us know. And he would always just pick his best favor to cash in at the end of every year at the most outrageous club that we had no business being at. And we
Amazing.
would go at like the end of October or even the beginning of November when the place is empty.
Yeah.
And Fisher's Island, I'm very fortunate to say, was one of I think it was the 5th year we did it. We've now done it 13 years in a row. And we literally have a trophy that looks like the claret jug that we inscribe our names on.
Fantastic.
And now it just has a roster of like 12 or 13 of the most absurdly, prestigious and incredible golden age courses. And Fisher's is in my top 5 of places I've ever been to. Friars Head out on the east end of Long Island is probably my number 1. It's a more recent
Okay.
course, but I think it's ranked like top 20 in the country at this point.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah. So bottom line, MGA is, I'm biased because I grew up there and I worked there, but I think it is the greatest concentration of top tier golf facilities in the country, not just because of the money or the prestigious memberships, but truly the architects that built them and the events that they've hosted, the U.S. Opens, 1 or 2 Ryder Cups, and just the incredible regional championships that I was lucky to be a part of at the MGA. It's just, I don't think there's any other part of the country that matches it. To all respect to Boston and Philly and North Carolina and California and Texas and Chicago. Chicago as well is very close, but I got to give the New York Mets section the win. But that's just me.
Well, it's quite for America as well, it's quite a concentration of like really special golf courses in quite a relatively small area as well. Because
It's incredible.
It strikes me that in other places in America, there's a little bit more of a leaning towards like a resort that you would go to. So even like Pinehurst, obviously, like that is a concentration of courses that are attached to that name.
Sure.
Myrtle Beach, places like that
Yep.
have become these sort of go-to sort of locations. But there, you were surrounded by just an incredible amount of golf courses. Like you said, some of them not as accessible for the general public. But also, you've got places like Bethpage, which is such a special golf course that is available to anyone.
Yeah,
It's a public.
exactly. Have you been
public track.
to Beth? Have you ever played in the U.S. or been over here?
No, I would love to. I think realistically, it's probably going to be when my son's old enough
Oh,
to come
nice.
and play
Okay.
with me. He's only 4 at the moment, but he loves
Okay.
golf. He comes to the range with me, and I think I would almost feel bad going and playing without him at this point, which sounds ridiculous, but in my mind, I've got this picture of we'll go to America, we'll do the typical sort of Disneyland stuff like that,
Yeah,
the
yeah. And then
touristy things,
exactly, yeah.
and then we'll go and play some golf over there. And I would love that to be a first experience. But no, the only time I've played abroad is in Portugal. I
Oh,
played,
nice. Okay.
yeah, and that was stunning. I'm hoping to go and play in Spain later on this year,
Oh, nice. Okay.
which should be
I'm
really
sure they have.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard they have some incredible courses, and the scenery there is probably even better than anywhere you'll get in the
It,
US outside of like California, like Pebble Beach is probably the closest. But
sure. I mean, it's just different
that's
golf.
great.
I think that's the thing because we
It
have a lot of woodland golf here. We have a lot of heathland golf, coastal golf.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there they have a bit of desert golf, which is kind of
Oh,
we
okay.
have nothing like that here. So
Interesting. Yeah.
that would be interesting. See how the game transfers to that would be
That's the beautiful thing about golf is that there, obviously no two courses are the same, but even one country can have several different like styles or formulas of golf. I've explained this to my parents so many times. Neither of them play, and they're always
Mhm.
kind of curious about my obsession with this silly game. And they're like, I don't understand. It's like you just hit the ball from the tee to the hole. Like why is it? So, I'm like, think of like tennis. You guys, they're not even big tennis fans, but Wimbledon is played on a grass court. The
Mhm.
U.S. Open is played on a synthetic court. French Open is played on a clay court. It's not even that great of a comparison, but it's the same game played on just completely different surfaces, and you need to adjust your game according to the surface or environment you're in. And that was one of the few things that kind of got them like, oh, okay, I kind of get it. But
Yeah.
again, they've never really spent much time on a golf course, so it's always me just trying to explain this
I've been fortunate
this.
enough to go to Wimbledon a few times
Oh, nice.
and centre court, and to
Oh,
see, I saw Federer in his like prime, and
oh, that must have been amazing.
it was unbelievable. I mean, I can't even remember the match. I think the match before him was Sharapova versus. Uh, it was a relatively unknown sort of seeded player, and she lost. And it was a bit of a shock because I think she was like
Yeah.
world number 5 or something like that at the time. And then
Hmm.
Federer came out, and we sort of thought, oh, 2 upsets in a row, maybe. And when you're there, it actually seems like it takes quite a long time for them to play a
Hmm.
match. It doesn't go very
Hmm.
quickly. There's some dull points and things like that. With Federer, it felt like he walked out, sat down a couple of times, and then left again. And before we knew it, it was like 6 love, 6-2, 6-3, done.
That's yeah. It just over in an hour 20 or something. Yeah.
And it was another level. It was another level, and
He
that's
really. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
no. That's the hard thing to quantify, isn't it? With when you see somebody playing like the game that you can play, because we can go out and play a game of tennis, and give it a go, sure, and
Yeah.
hit some decent shots.
Yeah.
But seeing someone do it and like perfecting their art in that way, again, when you transfer that to golf, we can all go out and play golf.
Yeah.
When you watch someone like Jake Knapp the other week shoot a
Yeah.
59
Yeah.
around the bear trap, like, okay, that course was playing a little easier than it has in previous years. It's still an incredibly hard golf course.
Yeah. He looked like he was going to fall asleep out there. It was so easy,
He
and
didn't even look that
that's
impressed at the end, did he?
exactly, yeah. And there was all that backlash you're reading about, like, oh, the course is too easy now, and it's like, yeah, maybe it is, but also just he's an incredibly talented guy, and
Yeah.
Federer is such a good example too because he has that Tiger sort of mystique that Tiger had, where he just anyone who's watching on TV who doesn't play is going to think
Mhm.
golf is very boring or tennis is very boring because they're just look at how easy it is, and it's like no,
Yeah.
no, no, they have made this their craft and made it look so easy because of how yes naturally talented they are, but also how much work and hours and reps they put in. And
Yeah.
yeah, people like you and me who have actually been out there on rainy days and know what a rough round feels like
Oh,
we can appreciate how good it is. So yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they're tipping these courses out as well. They're playing the furthest distance they can, and they're just another level. They're just another
I
level.
know, and it's yeah. We can. I'm sure I could bore you with my thoughts on technology as well. I think I know it's the big debate going on today. Is the ball too juiced up or the driver head's too big? I do kind of lament the loss of skill, at least off the tee. It really and guys like Bryson have proved it that you can just bash the heck out of it. And I'm not taking anything away from him. He's incredible. He'll be a Hall of Famer one day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But it is just you look at guys teeing off at the Masters in like the '80s when they were still playing with persimmon head woods. I remember seeing a clip of when Craig Stadler won the Masters. I think it was like early '80s, and he was in a playoff hitting off the 10th tee, that massive long par four at Augusta, and he just whipped around this persimmon headed driver, and the crack of the ball coming off a club head that was about this
Oh yeah.
big, not like today's, yeah, and just and he was a big guy, and just the amount of control but just controlled speed and follow through he had. It was more poetic and beautiful to watch that than it is to watch Bryson just smash away at a 380-yard drive at Bay Hill a few years
Yeah.
ago. Not taking anything away from it, but I'm like, I kind of prefer the olden days a little bit more to the way we're playing today. But anyway,
Um,
you and I aren't going to solve that debate.
I heard Tiger recently talking about, the drivers that he would have played, and he was like,
Yeah,
you had to shape them, like
yeah,
you had to hit out the center of the face. There was no
yep,
forgiveness. All this sort of like moving of MOI and 10K of inertia and everything like that. You can tell it goes over his head because he's like, if I don't hit out the center of the club face, I'm not playing golf.
exactly,
you know.
exactly. And
And the
it's
reality is, these guys are good enough. They are hitting out the center of the club face, but they have to create new products, don't they? At the end of the day,
and that's the unfortunate part about it. And I'm an American capitalist as much as the next American, but like when I see what golf companies are doing to the game, I sometimes do wonder, would it be better if the pros played separate equipment? I know there's the whole bifurcation of rules and bifurcation of equipment debate, and I go back and forth on it. But yeah, I do just lament a little bit of the loss of skill that modern players have. Yeah, Tiger was kind of like when he was coming up, he just had the tail end of the persimmon heads
yeah.
and blade irons, and now I love that golf is growing and more people are playing and going out and exploring the game. That's great, but I wish we could figure out a way to keep the skill at the top more authentic.
I'll show you after the podcast. But the other day, I got gifted a set of hickory clubs.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
That's
I've done a bit
great.
of cleaning up of just a few of the back of the faces so that I could see where they
Yeah.
were from. And one is literally from my local golf club, and it was a chap who was the head pro there in like 1909. And
That's awesome,
I've
man.
got that, and I've got one from Royal St George's,
Yep.
um, another one from Carnoustie,
Oh,
and
wow.
quite a few Robert Forgans from St
Oh,
Andrews as
yeah,
well.
yeah. That's
So,
incredible, dude. That's I'd be afraid to play with those. I wouldn't want to ruin them. Like
well, I
that's
took
awesome
out
though.
I took out the Niblick because
Yeah.
I went to the range the other day and I thought I've got to hit this. It was from like a local club, so I know it's not a, a priceless sort of item to have. Essentially, I just thought I'm going to give it a
Yeah.
go, and it was perfect.
Right?
I'm
Oh, that's
considering
so
putting it in the
cool.
bag. Like I was clipping this
That
thing
is so
100
cool,
yards
man.
dead on, and I'm like, maybe it goes in the bag. I need a club for that. Yeah.
It couldn't hurt, man. It couldn't hurt. That's awesome.
Had spin on it still. Grip was still in decent nick. I thought,
That's
maybe.
incredible,
I'll show
dude.
you
That it
after.
just goes to show that like yeah, obviously there's all these new clubs coming out every year and they all claim they can do this and that, but like the game that hasn't changed all that much, at least when it comes to just making good contact with the ball. And
Exactly. Yeah.
you've got a half decent club, it's going to do the job. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's so cool though, man. That's great. Keep me
Oh,
posted on how that goes. I would love to
yeah.
see if it comes in handy and around.
Absolutely. I've got in touch with Carnoustie to see if they would like this one returned to them. And obviously,
Oh, cool.
for my troubles, I'd
Yeah.
stay there and experience the
Whatever they
class, you
can,
know.
if it's a quiet day, let me just a quick tour of the course. I'll bring my clubs,
I'll bring my
who
clubs. I'll
knows?
bring three friends with me, and look, if if we so happen to stay on the course and play, then that would be great
Just
also.
like we'll get out of your way. 5 hours tops. I'll see you later. Yeah, that's amazing, man. Please keep
Oh,
me posted on if you can make that happen. That's
I
awesome.
absolutely will, Dave. I absolutely will. But talking about traditions of the game, and this is where when I saw Handsome Squire on Instagram, I looked at it and I thought, "Oh, this this is what golf needs more of as we move into a technology based game and a people where
Yeah.
more and more guys are ending up with GC quads and are ending up with smartwatches on their wrists and everything like that. And
Yeah.
there is a place for that. I mean, there's an accessibility to that, but at the same time, the traditions of golf are what give it its soul and what breathe life into it and make it so
Yeah.
special. So, if you could describe to the listeners what Handsome Squire is all about and what you create.
Well, you hit the nail on the head, Dave. I couldn't agree more. I am very much a golf purist and a golf traditionalist. I'll go back and give you a little bit more of my backstory. I know I mentioned the MGA. earlier, but even before that, I fell into this game completely by accident, and I'm very fortunate about the way I fell in because it really informed the way I look at it now and the way that we've kind of crafted Handsome Squire. I started caddying at a local prestigious country club, one town over from me in Connecticut. I grew up in a very affluent area. My family wasn't, we were fine, but like a lot of the families around us were just very wealthy New York people. And, it like I was mentioning before, this is the center of golden age golf architecture in the United States, and with that comes a lot of wealth and wealthy people playing at fantastic clubs. So I was very fortunate to learn the game starting at age 13 or 14 at a Woodway Country Club in Darien, Connecticut. Fantastic club. If you plopped it anywhere else in the country, it would be one of the best in the area. But again, because we have such an embarrassment of riches in that area, it can be a little seen as a little bit of a hidden gem. But so I went one day just to learn how to caddy because my friend was going down there and he didn't want to go alone. And he knew I'd played golf like once or twice. And I was like, all right, I need a summer job. Sure, let's go do it. He quit 6 weeks later and I've stayed for a lifetime. And I'm so happy that I just happened to go down there that day because I caught the bug early. And I'm lucky I caught it as a caddy. And I'm such a big proponent of caddying. It's the way that so many people used to get into the game back, at least in the US back in the day, when it wasn't always the most accessible or affordable game. And so some of the greatest American pros of the early, mid, and late 20th century all got into the game from caddying, going all the way back to Gene Sarazen and Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson. All those guys started, Lee Trevino, they all started out as caddies. And when you caddy at a really great private club, they take tradition very seriously there. I even just getting a sense of like the locker room that I was not allowed in, or the pro shop with all the mahogany, shelves and really nice clothing and everything. I could just tell everyone was buttoned up. They expected us to be so as well. And even just being out there with the membership, who are all just terrific guys. They all kept their phones away. They did not want to be disturbed when they were on the golf course. Golf was supposed to be a sort of secluded place from the rest of their busy lives. And, we all have busy lives. We all have, work and family obligations, and just getting out on a golf course for a few hours is just it. Even as working as a caddy, it was never work for me. I always just loved being out there with these guys and kind of picking up on the traditions of the game. So early on, just the importance of walking a golf course, having a knowledgeable caddy that can help you and improve your game or just improve your day. Having some old school equipment. This was, no one I caddied for had any, persimmon headed woods like Craig Stadler or Tiger back in the day, but everyone had like their favorite rusty old sand wedge from 20, 30 years ago, or they had bag tags from a member guest they played at Wingfoot 30 years ago. And just, you very quickly get a sense of like, oh, this game goes back 100 plus years in my country. It goes 150 plus back in the UK and hundreds back in Scotland and England. So I've always been a history fan and just got kind of really accustomed to the historical elements of golf, and honestly just started educating myself on the game. I started reading a ton. Some of my favorite golf authors are guys like Michael Murphy, Bamberger, John Feinstein, A Good Walk Spoiled. All these books were floating around the caddy locker room, and I would just read these books while I was waiting for a loop. And I went down a rabbit hole that 20 years later I'm still going down, and I just love that. So fast forward 20 years and 15 years or so, and my best friend and I are each in business school at different schools. I'm studying in New York. I'm working full time. I'm going to business school in the evenings. My friend is in Milan, Italy. He just went and moved over to Italy to start a fresh chapter of his life, and is in this incredible business school over there. I'm in New York, and we're just kicking like business ideas around. And we played a lot of golf together. So that was always kind of on our minds. He knew I worked for a few years in the industry. I transitioned out of that and been working in finance the past 8 or 9 years. And at one point, he just kind of kicks around this idea of creating some classic golf accessories, but with Italian leather, because he's over there in Milan. He sees the quality of the craftsmanship of just every store he goes into. And there's this mystique. I don't know. I assume there's a mystique in Europe in the UK, but in America, you just hear Italian leather and you go, "Ooh, this is just the best quality." Whether it's a leather jacket or shoes or a belt,
Exactly.
Americans, they bring out their wallets for Italian leather. So I was just like, well, at first we kind of kicked around the idea of having like a high end sort of locker room bag. And we actually went forward with that for a while, made a few prototypes, actually had a really cool prototype made. It was great. It's still something we want to introduce. It's on our website. It's just a little cost prohibitive at the moment. If being entirely sourced and made in Italy, we're not doing any sort of, foreign labor of any kind outside of Italy. So it is very time consuming. It's very costly. And we want to make sure we can offer it at a price point that actually makes sense to people. So from there, we were pivoting and I was like, all right, well, I've got like an old leather scorecard holder that a family friend of mine passed down to me 10, 15 years ago. I love this thing. And I never see these in golf shops anymore. Or when I
Mhm.
do, I'll look at it and it's like, made in China or made in Peru. Nothing against, and actually South American leather can be pretty good. And sometimes you'll see made in USA. And I'm like, I'm as patriotic as the next American. I love made in USA, but I never saw anything that was like really, really good Italian leather quality. And it was just like a little mini light bulb moment. I sent him a few yardage book wallets and scorecard holders that I liked with some personal tweaks to the design, some things I like, some things I don't. And I just said like, hey, you mentioned you have a relationship with a leather manufacturer over there. Ask them if they can make a few of these, a few samples, and just send them back to me. And 6, 8 weeks later, I had these in my hand, and I was like, we need to do this. This I don't care if this never gets into a single golf shop. I want to make these just for my immediate fellow golf nerds that I know from the MGA and the Met PGA and their families and friends as just gifts to give. And if it catches on, great. And so that's what we did. We just focused on scorecard wallets, the yardage book wallet. I know I send you each of those. And then we also have this little item. It's like a desk valet that you
Mhm.
kind of just like sits on your desk, little odds and ends, teas, little things like that. Little decorative valet, and it's great for gifts for VIPs and friends and family. And I thought, let's focus on these three, smaller, easier to manage items. And with my friends and colleagues and connections in the Met Golf section, let me see if I can just see if this makes sense to anyone. Do you guys like these? Is there value in this? And the feedback I got pretty quickly from friends and colleagues was pretty exciting. They really thought there was something here. And there are a few brands in the U.S. that still make similar types of things. You can go into some golf shops and find them. They're just, I don't know. I never thought they deserved like the proper shelf space they deserved. And again, like you mentioned, with everyone carrying around their phones or their watches and keeping score on their smartwatch, it made me sad that we weren't that items like this weren't as well represented. So I was like, let me see if I can address this little niche. And it's been about a year to 18 months of keeping this going so far, and the response has been great. We've done a ton of little one-off gifts for people, for friends, birthdays, Father's Day, Christmas, all the usual, gift giving holidays. I've done a few corporate events. Actually, my old company that I actually just it's an investment firm I just left a few months ago. Put in a huge corporate order as giveaways for their conferences they go to. My old boss is like, these things are incredible. Everyone was raving about them. I was like, all right, this is great. And then on top of that, we've got all these great collaborations we did with the MGA. I think I post a lot of those on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you before, it's just the best regional events in the best area of golf in the country. And I am so fortunate that we got to do just like some small giveaways for the VIPs at the clubs that the MGA likes to, give some gifts to. I got to go to the Long Island Open at Piping Rock, which is a CB McDonald, Seth Rayner, absolute classic, such a hidden gem on Long Island. The 109th Met Open at Weburn Country Club, also in Darien, Connecticut, near where I grew up. This club has always been one of the best in the state, and now it arguably is the best in Connecticut. It's ahead of Stanwich and Yale Golf Club, which are usually the perennial top two. Weburn has a shot at the belt, I think, right now for best in state. They've done so many renovations, and to host the Met Open is no easy feat. That event only goes to the best of the best. So I got to go out there, provide some gifts and a wallet for the winner. Same as I gave to you, embossed with the logo and
Yeah,
then
amazing.
embossed with his initials, and then the a few other sort of mid to top tier events in the area, more amateur events. I teamed up with the MGA on. So in terms of just being a relatively young brand, again, like I said, only about 12 to 18 months, the number of really cool collaborations we've been able to do with incredible organizations like the MGA and the Long Island Golf Association and the clubs that they go to has just been beyond what I was expecting. So this is kind of like our second full season we're going into now. I'm trying to
Hmm.
get into some more golf shops, and also to position us as a basically like a one-stop shop giveaway for a club's member guest or for their member tournament. Like, hey, imagine if 150 guests showed up for the member guests and they had an embossed, personalized wallet or a scorecard holder with their name on it or with their initials on it, and just everything is customizable. That's kind of the if there was any secondary light bulb moment, it was you know, how do we differentiate ourselves from other brands that are doing this? And I thought to myself, we need to be able to personalize this stuff. I really
Mm.
think in a golf landscape today that is so oversaturated with a ton of very cool tech toys
Hmm.
that people love spending their money on. I think a personalized monogram gift like this stands out in today's world more than ever.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the genesis for how it all started, and yeah, it's been a super exciting ride. Where I'm excited to see what we can do this next season with not just organizations we've worked with in the past, but the golf landscape in the U.S. is huge, and I'm trying to expand little by little, and yeah, just make it happen. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's been a great run so far.
That's amazing. I mean, for 12 to 18 months, I mean, to be able to say you've done all that in that time as well is amazing. And the products speak for themselves. I mean, I've got the scribe and the navigator, which is your
Yeah,
yardage book and scorecard holder.
yeah.
And thank you again for sending that to me. Because
Oh, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
do you know what? For my mental side of the game as well, I've only been out and played one 18-hole round using the scribe, because
Mhm.
unfortunately yardage books seem to be sort of over here just less and less, and I'm trying to find a way. I tried to make my own yardage books, and it
Really?
was, yeah, it was a painful process of trying to make my own, because it was like, okay, I go onto Google Maps, I Google
Yeah,
Earth,
yeah.
then I've got do you know what,
I'm.
I gave up. I was going to do it for a friend of mine, stag do. I was going to do him the yard, because we went and played sort of went and stayed away and played golf, and I was going to do him a yardage book of the course we were going to, and I gave up after one hole. I was like, no,
Oh, that's no.
I'm not
I'm
doing this.
I'm sure there's got to be a software tool out there that can help, but I'm sure it's very labor intensive, and you need to have like the exact
Yeah,
distances from the club. I'm sure that's not an easy thing to put together. Yeah,
it's something that someone needs to find a solution to, because
yeah,
like you said, we're going into a very tech heavy golf world at the moment, and with
yeah,
people coming into the game, you're seeing, you know, I won't name all the different brands that provide all these
yeah.
different software and everything like that. But when you start looking at the fact that, okay, cheapest over here is probably around the £10 a month mark,
Okay,
for software like that. So that's, £120 a year. That
yeah,
price is probably just going to keep them going up and up and up.
yep,
And essentially, what are you using it for? You're using it for GPS, maybe, unless you don't have a
hmm,
smartwatch, in which case the idea of getting your phone out and finding the yardage, that's quite intensive. Most people generally have rangefinders anyway now to try and
yeah,
find their ranges. And and if they're not doing that, it's just keeping their score. That's generally what it
yeah,
is. Now,
yeah.
as crazy as it sounds, there's already a solution to keeping your score on a golf course. It's been around for a very long time. As
We
crazy as it is,
from the beginning actually.
scorecards, which are
It's
pretty
a
good. They'll
piece of paper. Yeah,
piece of paper, they'll keep it. But at the same time,
yeah,
scorecards are great. But if you're putting them in your back pocket, and if you're playing around a golf and you're getting your glove in and out and whatever it may be,
yeah,
what tends to happen, people lose them, they get crumpled up, you give up after a while, you lose your pencil. All these things
hmm,
have been issues, hence why people have moved over sometimes to a more tech-based thing. But
yeah,
having the scorecard holder, and having the BirDie Golf Club Podcast logo on the front and my
yeah, man.
initial, we all, let's face it, we all want to be that guy turning up and playing, the Masters. But the
Yeah,
reality is, my golf game's never gonna be there.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I can feel
Right?
like I'm turning up. I mean, having that in my back pocket when I played, like I said, it was the first time I'm playing again in a week's time, but it was the first time I'd done it. I felt incredible. Did my golf translate? No,
Oh,
it probably didn't. But
Dave.
I honestly felt like, you know, golf for me, and I've described this on podcasts before. Golf for me, and you spoke to it as well. Having the mahogany and the rooms you weren't allowed in as a
Yeah,
junior golfer, and all these things, they have slowly phased their way out of golf.
yeah,
Spike rooms and places like that don't really exist very often anymore. It's much
right.
more accessible, and like we said, that's great. Accessibility is
Mhm.
great, but golf's heart is a little bit closed off, and that's
Yeah,
also okay. Um,
yeah.
I liked not being able to go in certain rooms as a junior golfer. I liked
It,
having
it adds
to,
to the mystique. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you're not allowed to wear your golf shoes in this part of the clubhouse, or you're not, you know, certain tee boxes, all these things. I don't look back on playing golf, and I wasn't a member at any club. I just played a local public
No, me
course,
neither.
which was near
Same.
my
Yeah.
house. And it was great because I didn't look back and think that wasn't fair or anything like that. Because when you became old enough to do all those things, when you could go in the bar,
Exactly.
when you could, that was a big accomplishment, and that's being lost with people being too worried about, is this accessible enough? Are we doing enough to make people
Oh,
happy? And
yeah.
it's an impossible balance. I
I,
get
I
that.
agree. No, I completely agree with you, Dave. I think golf can, and I think golf has to figure out a way to honor its traditions without being, yes, overly exclusionary for sure. But just those very innocent examples you just mentioned are great. Those are like rites of passage for like a young golfer who's
Hmm.
like, yeah, you need to know how to, first of all, like, play the game decently well enough. How you know how to comport yourself on the course in the clubhouse. When you get to a certain age, you're granted more privileges. That's just part of like
Yeah,
any sort of way of growing up. And I'm yeah, I do kind of yeah. I've seen, especially the more you go to I guess yeah, certain places it's gotten a bit more relaxed. And listen, I'm like you. I grew up at a playing public courses. I worked at a private club, the one I mentioned, but I've
hmm,
never been a member of a private club. Part of me is still aspirational of that at some point in my life, but I'm very content playing at public clubs. I just and public golf, especially because it's yeah, like you said, it's accessible and can be more affordable.
yeah,
Um, and also, I just yeah, uh, the people you get paired with on any random day, or that's part of the beauty of the game as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
I've had so many fun experiences playing at public courses in New York City, and you just meet the craziest characters in the world.
I
And
bet.
I still yeah, it's great. But yeah, I agree with you that there's like a tough balance to kind of strike there, but it's kind of part of the DNA of the Squire brand of why I'm doing this is to figure
Yeah.
out a way to honor the game and its traditions. And this is a very simple way I'm doing it. I'm not writing a
Mhm.
book about the history of golf. I'm not leading some massive organization to grow the game. I just love that we have kind of found this very little niche and we can just do a very small number of items exceptionally well. I mentioned obviously this started as a brainchild of my friend and I, and but just to make it clear to everyone who's to your followers, like every one of our wallets are handmade in Italy in a very small shop about 30 kilometers outside Milan that you could drive by 100 times and miss it every time. It is so
Mhm.
nondescript, but inside is a husband and wife couple that have been working in leather for decades, and they're so lovely. When they're not making our wallets in the past, they've done belts and handbags for Gucci and other
Mhm.
Italian brands. So and you feel these wallets and you're like, yeah, I
Oh
can
yeah.
believe that. It's just it's top of the line. It's great quality. And what you just said warms my heart. If it in any way improves your mental or emotional approach to your round of golf, that is like that's more than I ever could have hoped for. So yeah, that's just an added bonus for me. So
Oh no, absolutely, Dave. I mean, thank you because it removed the need for my phone. Um,
yeah,
which we all need. We all need a break from the
it's
screen at the end of the day.
yeah.
And it was making its
I
way into
think
golf, like it or
I
not.
know, which is and I'll be the first to say I remember years ago, the first yeah, probably 10 years ago when the first golf apps or scorecard, stroke tracking apps started to come out. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's neat. And I didn't really think much about it. And I look back now and I'm like, yeah, I've never really had one. After a round, I will input my score on the handicap app just to keep my
Mm.
handicap updated. But I don't want it out every. Well, one of my best friends I play with has a smartwatch on and his phone at the
Uh,
ready, like in the cart, like double checking distances and putting in. And I'm like, don't you want a break from all
I know.
this?
I know.
It's yeah. So yeah, if golf and if using one of our wallets can help people even just take a break for an hour or two, or 4 or 5 from
Yeah,
our screens, I think that's a win for golfers and the game. So
absolutely. And the quality, like you said, it was exceptional of
I
it.
appreciate that, man.
It's not like, to be honest, I forgot it was in my back pocket. Like
That
that's
yes,
it's very,
that is
very
exactly
soft. Very
what we
soft.
were aiming for. Because when I sent a few samples, I was like, I don't want one this hard and bulky. I don't
Hmm.
want this one which is too soft and flimsy. Like I want something kind of in the middle. And literally the first prototype they made for us was perfect. I was like,
Hmm.
no more notes. This is great. I've had other friends say the exact same thing. They said
Hmm.
they it like it doesn't feel like you're lugging around anything extra in your back pocket. And it's something I kind of chuckle at sometimes when I'm watching the PGA Tour, watching the pros on TV, the massive yardage book wallets they have crammed into their skin tight, like,
Yeah, yeah,
designer pants. And I'm like, how is that thing not exploding? How are you not like buckling your belt or when you're bending over for your ball? I'm shocked I'm
yeah,
not seeing, that it just explode out of your pocket. It looks so like uncomfortable. But I love that these they're thinner than a lot of the bulkier ones you see in golf shops,
hmm,
which I'm okay with. And I'm cool that it can kind of bend and fold
yep,
a little bit. It's meant to.
yep.
This is, again, it's Italian leather. It's meant to not just it's not supposed to retain its original shape forever. It's supposed to like develop a patina over time.
Yeah.
The very first person we gave one to, literally over a year ago, my an old family friend and mentor of mine. He's retired. He lives down in Florida. He plays golf 6.5 days a week. He lives the life. It's incredible. And he literally got the first one. I just gave it to him as a gift. And I played with him a few months ago down in Florida, and he showed it to me. I hadn't seen it in a year, and it just looked so beautiful and like weather worn,
Yeah,
and it went from like that caramel color to like a nice like deep brown.
yeah,
And I was like so proud of it. He's like, it's incredible. I love it. And it just looked like it had been through the ringer and looks better than it did when I gave it to him. So
yeah.
that's what we're aiming for.
That's amazing. And I guess you spoke on it briefly. You look at these pros, the huge ones. Have you have you been able to make any sort of moves into trying to get Handsome Squire into the hands of any pro golfers or elite amateurs or college golfers or anything like that?
Not the pros yet. That might be a bridge too far at this
Mm,
early stage, but elite amateurs for sure, and club professionals in the New York area is. Even though I'm down in North Carolina now, I'm still focused. Most of
yeah.
my network is on the Met New York area, so my focus for this year is really exploring that network, making introductions, and building more relationships with some of the pros in the area. And I have friends who know the friend I mentioned before who always books our end of year match. Has a lot of great relationships with a lot of area pros. So my dream would be, again, not even to disrupt what they have going on in their golf shop, because a lot of these top clubs have really strong partnerships with their vendors that they've had for years. And if they have a small selection of wallets from Winston Collection or some of these other brands that have been around for a while, I'm not even necessarily trying to disrupt that, but keep me in mind for your member guest or your
Yeah.
member or your club championship. You want like a nice gift to give to your ladies 4-ball event at the end of the year, or your ladies club championship. Let me know. I'll send you a half dozen to give out to the ladies or to the guys of the member guests. And that's almost kind of the category I want pros and elite amateurs to think of our brand is as like the more custom one-off gifts,
Yeah.
rather than just sitting in a glass case behind the golf shop register, and they
Yeah.
sell a few each year.
Or a little
So
carousel just going
ex-
round.
ex- you've seen them, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I've seen
So
them.
so yeah, I'm trying to keep like the various sort of tentacles going out in different directions. If I can do more corporate gifts like the one I did for my old company, great. If I could do more VIP gifts with the MGA, which was a huge hit last year, and also like a special wallet for the whoever wins the Met Open or the Met Amateur or the Met Stroke Play event, or doing one-off gifts for member guests.
Yeah.
I would love to be sort of the provider for the Met area for the really custom monogrammed gifts, and if I can then take it to the next layer from there, great. But that's a battle for maybe next year. But for this year, those are kind of my goals. So
So obviously being in North Carolina now, are you able to you're able to work from there, I take it? So your sort of side of things that you're able to do is all able to run from there as well?
everything works. We're still a two-man operation.
Yeah.
I've got my friend in Italy who's doing the production side of things, and I'm over here in the U.S. doing the sales and distribution.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're very much a strong two-man team. When I was in New York, we were getting all of our embossing was done. I'm actually really proud of this. We get these beautiful handmade wallets shipped over from Milan to New York City. I then get them embossed by a professional embosser down on Wall Street in
Hmm.
Lower Manhattan by a guy named Mike Abadi, who's fantastic. He's been a professional embosser for 30 something years. He
Well.
has a very small office about a block from the New York Stock Exchange on the 17th floor of a building. Again, you would never know it's there, but I found him. And I've become one of his favorite customers over the past year because I would just, barge in there all the
Yeah.
time with fresh orders to get embossed. And he has one of these old school, 50, 60-year-old embossing machines that's the size of it's at least 5 feet off the ground,
Wow.
and is just so, again, it just goes to the perfect old school aesthetic that we're trying to brand here, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But I would bring these in to him, and he is just like a craftsman that you don't see anymore. And I asked him, I was like, it took me a while to find you. Like, are there a lot of guys like you in New York that do leather embossing? And he's like, I'm pretty sure I'm the last one in Manhattan. So
Wow.
it's not something that is done a lot anymore. So he's been an incredible partner of ours the past year. Did all of the logo embossing. I actually got a very small embosser that I have here in my apartment that I can do some of the lettering for. I
Hmm.
still trust him for all the logoing though. Until I can get up to speed where I can do those on my own, I'm going to leave that to the
Okay.
professional in a small office on Wall Street. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, to just go from one craftsman in Italy to another craftsman in Wall Street to someone's front door, and it'd be a wallet that they truly can't get in any golf shop or online other than our website. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it as authentic as I can go. But yeah, for right now, I've got everything set up here. It's quiet right now. We don't really have any big orders yet.
Hmm.
I think once April, May, June come around,
Yeah.
I'll have to figure out coordinating with Mike and doing some work from here. But for right now, it's yeah, we're a mighty two-man operation. So
It's amazing because I think people. I always say this to everyone that I've spoken to so far, who's always is seems to be at a similar sort of stage in their business, that sort of 12 to 24 month point. Generally, the people that I've spoken to so far whilst doing this podcast, and
mhm,
small operations are so good in many ways, especially with social media now and everything like that, as far as a marketing
mhm.
tool, because people sell brands, not
Yeah,
faceless sort of unrelatable things that maybe
yeah,
used to be more prevalent, especially on smaller items and things like that. Now there's a more of a movement going back to people wanting to buy from people, and
yeah,
to know their story. And something like Handsome Squire, like, you receive the packaging itself is a work of art. Like, you don't get anything like that anymore. I mean, people can head to my Instagram page and have a look at the unboxing that we done
yeah.
on the Handsome Squire, and it was just having the paper, which is lovely, with the Handsome Squire logo just etched into the
Yeah,
paper, and then the little bit of sort of rope that goes around
the little twine. Yeah,
the
yeah.
little twine that goes around, and I mean, all of that, you don't get that off the shelf. You don't get that from anywhere else. And obviously, that does come with a premium, a premium sort of price, which comes to it as well. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not going to be, something that you'd pick up in over there
Right.
Walmart, or the local golf shop,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
cheap bottle or whatever it may
Exactly.
be. but at the same time, it's something that's going to last and something that's going to age and something you can be truly proud of to have
It's
in your back pocket.
exactly, and it's you just touched on the difference between price and value. And a
Mm,
lot of times people today get too caught up on price and they don't think about the years and even decades of value you can get off of just one purchase of one of these wallets instead of, recycling a few every few years.
yeah.
And if, in fact, some of my first customers were friends of mine from college who are big golfers. And my one friend sent me the loveliest response. He's like, I've had a yardage wallet for a while that's just been really raggedy and it isn't worth what I paid for it. And I was really kind of frustrated that it didn't really hold up. And so this has been a great replacement. I just got it, and I honestly think you could charge more for it based on it's even nicer than I. And I'm not increasing my prices, but it was just a very nice
Yeah.
compliment because he was like the delta between this and the one I had and what I paid for this and what I paid for that one is it doesn't make sense. Like you could be charging a lot more
Mm,
for the value that you're getting, and I'm glad you feel the same way about just the quality of it and the wrapping. Honestly, you're going to laugh at this, but the my approach to packaging was inspired by not something golf related at all, but it was a line I heard from Steve Jobs,
hmm.
obviously, famous founder of Apple Computers, and he said when he was telling his design team when the iPhone was first coming out, he said, "I want the packaging. Well, when someone opens it, I want it to feel like theater." He said, "I
Hmm.
want it to have just like a grand theatrical opening, and it should feel not you shouldn't just be like ripping it out of plastic and throwing the plastic away. Like I want it to be a
Yeah.
process or and a meaningful process." I know that sounds so random for a golf product, but I had
Makes
that in the back
sense.
of my mind. And I was like, let's get some nice, branded tissue paper. I think the twine was just like a nice classic touch,
Yeah.
very minimalist wrapping paper on the front. That's another big word that my co-founder William and I, my friend in Italy, we kept kicking around the word minimalist
Hmm.
when we were starting this. We wanted it to just be as simple, no frills. The value should be in the quality, not in any crazy designs or anything like that. So we wanted a minimalist design of the product, but also the packaging, and that's kind of where all that came from. So
And that makes sense as well in that design because it doesn't have like I don't know what I expected, but sometimes you expect like the little gold edging, and things like
yeah,
this, and the
yeah,
spine to be a little bit more. But like you said, it's designed to move and it's designed to almost take the shape of where it's going to be at the end of the day
yeah,
because
yeah.
it tells a story in itself. Like you said, I bet you can't wait. Like you said, you saw your friend who'd had the one who'd had for just a year, and to see,
Yeah,
I bet you can't wait to see like ones with some real wear and tear to them, can
I
you?
I really can't, and I need to start posting more on Instagram of getting people to send me some pics of theirs as time goes on, just
Yeah.
to add it to the reel because I think it's the ultimate compliment. Not just that people are continuing to use it, but I think it's one of those rare products that gets better over time, or you get more attached to it over time.
Hmm.
Just like your favorite leather jacket or your favorite pair of nice shoes, it gets to know you more, and yeah, it's going to take the shape of your back pocket, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's better that than a bulky, inch and a half
Oh,
wide yardage book that Jordan Spieth has coming out of his back pocket.
nice
I feel bad for these
snakeskin
guys.
one
I
or
was
something,
like, yeah, yeah, those are very cool. I like the
you know.
snakeskin look, but yeah, and they've got the upside down names and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that point yet. Again, this is, I really was inspired by like the old school guys I caddied for back in the, early to late 2000s when I was in high school and college. These were guys who were in their 50s and 60s. They grew up, in the middle of the 20th century and were all very successful guys. But a lot of the guys I caddied for were not. They didn't grow up wealthy. They really worked their butts off and made themselves into what they are and got to you know join a very nice exclusive golf club and enjoy all the benefits of that. And I just loved sort of the classic vibe they had about them, whether it was a few guys that had a similar scorecard wallet or they had a really nice old leather driver head cover for their driver or their
Yeah.
hybrid or something, or a really nice putter head cover that their grandfather had gifted them or something. So I had almost an older client base in mind when we started getting this going. I'm very much an old soul when it comes to golf. I think you probably are too.
Yeah.
So guys our age can still appreciate this stuff, but I a lot of the feedback I've been getting is that this has been great for my friends my age to give to their dads or their fathers-in-law or their uncles for as really special golf gifts. So yeah, I think there is still certainly a market for a younger to middle aged crowd, but honestly, it's the baby boomer crowd that I think is has been responding the
Yeah.
best to these things. So yeah,
It's nostalgic, and it's nostalgic
exactly.
without being gimmick. Without,
Yeah,
it doesn't, it doesn't sounds crazy because people are so used to using the technology based stuff now that they would almost say
yeah,
it's sort of a change to the way they play to go
yeah,
back to, using a scorecard or yardage book. But
yeah,
it's more authentic. It's more how the game was intended to be played, which is,
exactly.
like
Yeah,
we said, it's a difficult thing to explain maybe to people that have just taken it up, because they are seeing the 350-yard bombs and you get a
uh,
wedge in your hand, and that's it. That's all you
yeah,
need. We don't play the game that way, and sometimes we can
yeah,
think in our heads, oh, I should hit driver here because I want to be, a wedge in my hand is better than an 8-iron. Well, it's not better a wedge in your hand if you're in the trees. So
yeah,
play the course, and I have to
exactly.
remember this, because the trouble is I get too hooked up on like the decade system and
Oh
YouTube
yeah,
videos telling you drivers to play, drivers to play. I mean, there's a reason why they come over and play the Open, and more guys have 4-irons and 3-irons and 2-irons
yeah,
in the bag. It's because over
yeah.
here there's a real premium on fairways. They're not
Of
big
course,
wide open
yeah.
courses, lots of
You do not want
trees.
to be in that fescue, yeah, or in a
Exactly,
pot bunker.
exactly, and that and that hits me hard when I try and just hit bombs and try and just play like, swinging out my shoes. It never translates well. Occasionally it will. You always
Exactly.
remember that one, right? You always remember that one that went great. But that
The
that
one
that
that keeps you coming back.
exactly. But you know to play the game as it is just like you said, playing golf is a 3.5, 4 hour escape from your
Uh,
everyday grind. Um,
yeah.
and that's not to say those things that aren't golf aren't obviously fun, but the idea is that moment of just focusing on golf, and to do that with a scorecard, and to do that with the yardage book, and not using technology, is a really special gift. And I think what Handsome Squire does is gives that gift back to people, and
Uh,
in an accessible way as well, being able to have that in their back pocket. So I want to say thank you to you, Dave, because you have given me that gift back of not having a smartwatch on my wrist for once.
Dave, I might just clip exactly what you just said and text it out on my website. Just that I
Um,
could not have encapsulated what we're trying to do any better than that. So that warms my heart. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. You hit the nail on the head. We're living in an over technified world in general, even outside
mm,
of golf. And to see golf get a little just more and more tech heavy every year is a little disconcerting and frustrating, because I think it just loses a little bit of the core of the game. So
absolutely.
anytime you can just get out there and focus on being present, anything you can do to do that, I think it just enhances your own enjoyment of the game. And if we're doing a little bit to help that, then that's we're going to keep doing it. That's great, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. No, not at all. And people can find you, Dave. They can find you at Handsome Squire on Instagram. Handsomesquire.com
Yep.
is where they can find all the products. They can find the yardage book, the scorecard holder, the little, what did you call it again? The little,
We call it the valet. It's a
the
little
valet.
valet
That's it.
tray. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
So
I
we
must
got
admit,
the
when I first
valet.
saw that, I thought it looked like a baseball glove, and I was like, okay, all right,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
I didn't expect that, because
It's a little this is and it's the last thing I'll say. It's a little touch of Italy there. It's the word for this item in Italy is svuotatasca, which
Mhm.
literally means pocket emptier. So it's just for
Oh,
anything you have in your
amazing. Yeah.
pockets to just put in your little valet. It's great for it's not even necessarily a golf gift. We just loved that our leather supplier was making these, and we thought, oh, this is great for tees, balls, to
Yeah.
have on a little golfer's or a head pro's desk. It's one little extra accessory. So it's
And that's
great though. We've had a good
that
response.
couple in Italy, is it, that make all that make all the same products, which is
Yeah,
lovely.
exactly. Yeah,
Lovely to know as well.
everything is they do handmade, and they've got machines and stuff, but they're nothing is being like automated through a big machine. They are literally guiding everything in with their hands. They're painting the edges of every
Amazing.
every wallet with a particular sort of covering for the borders. I mean, every one of these was just a work of art. We're really
Yeah.
proud of the response that people like you have given us. So we really appreciate it.
No, no, it's all day. I hope it just continues to go to strength this year. I mean, what would be your you spoke about it briefly, but just to finish, what would be 2025, looking back on it, looking back January 2026, what would
Mhm.
be a successful year for Handsome Squire? I know that can be hard to quantify, but if you were to look back, what would be a great step in Handsome Squire as a brand?
To be able, I think of all the goals I mentioned earlier, to be able to sponsor a member guest at an elite club in the metropolitan New York area. I know that's just one thing. There are a lot of other things I plan on doing this year, but to be able to be like the primary gift given at a club like the one I grew up caddying at, or some of those big names I mentioned earlier, would be just such a massive feather in our cap, because the elite amateur field is much more of what we're going for. As much as I would love to, have a pro talk about Handsome Squire,
Of course.
they have their different sized wallets, and they don't use scorecard wallets. They only have the yardage ones, and they've got different sizes out there. I would rather focus on the elite amateur market, and even just I'm an average amateur myself, so even just guys like me, uh, to be able to have that feather in our cap of providing what would probably be a several hundred different wallets at a really big event at a premier Met area club. That would be the ultimate goal, because I don't think there's anything we could do to help get our name out there as sort of a niche brand the way I want to than to do that. So that's the big one. But also just keeping our VIP gifts going with places like the MGA and other regional associations that I've been reaching out to. Certainly Carolina, I want to reach out to as well, and continuing to be a great gift for family and friends. That's like I said, I want to keep it going in every direction, but the member guest would be the big feather in our cap. So that's the big one.
It sounds great, though. Sounds great. Sounds like it's going to be an achievable goal as well. From
I
what
think so.
with the
I think
connections that
so.
you've
Yeah.
got and the quality of the product as well is something that's going to
Yeah.
definitely happen. And it will be a nice sort of it'll be a nice thing to look back on, especially after the misery that Bethpage is going to be for the American team. So if
Well played.
you know
Nice.
if
That is going to be. Yeah. Go
oh
on.
it's gonna be no you go on. No, it's gonna be I mean, you
Uh,
can speak to it better than I can. I mean, it's
it's the last thing, and then I'll let you go. But it's going to be an incredible event. Bethpage is incredible. I got to play there once, and it is such a beast of a golf course. I think it's going to be a great match play course for the Ryder Cup.
Mhm.
I've joked that friends have asked me like, "Oh, are you planning on going to try to get a ticket?" And I said, I would almost rather just watch it on TV. It's
Yeah.
it's my favorite event in golf, the Ryder Cup. I would rather watch Sunday singles of the Ryder Cup than watch Sunday of the Masters. Like that's how much I love the Ryder
Mhm.
Cup, and I would rather just get the experience on TV. Also because I think the in-person experience, when the folks from Long Island come out to cheer on the U.S., like there are going to be arrests made. Like people are
Yeah.
going to be just insane at this. You've seen it on TV. The
Yeah.
spirits are always very high at the Ryder Cup, but I've joked with my friends they need to set up like a mobile jail in the parking lot at Bethpage for the
Yeah.
amount of guys that are going to get arrested. I'm obviously exaggerating, but it's going to be rowdy. It's going to be great. I hope it's respectful, but I think we can catch up after that for sure, because I would love to hear
Absolutely.
your perspective on your side of the pond from how it goes. But
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be fireworks for sure.
It's setting itself up to be pretty electric. The whole thing is going to be
Yeah.
unbelievable. And I was just thinking this episode is most likely going to come out around sort of Masters time. So
Oh, cool.
I think up until this point, I haven't done this yet, but I'm gonna do this for you, and I probably should have done this much earlier. Is to get people's prediction of who wins the Masters this year. So come on, Dave.
You want
I want
my
your
prediction?
prediction of who wins the Masters this year, and I'll give
Oh,
mine as well.
okay. Oh man. Who's playing? I mean, I I've become a big Rory fan the past few years, just the way he's defended the PGA Tour so well in recent years. And I know he draws criticism, and that some of it's fair. That's fine. I do want him to finally win so he can win the Grand Slam. Is this going to be his year? I don't know. You know what? I'll take it. This might be a little bit of a cop out, but Russell Henley is in top form right now. He just won the Arnold Palmer. And he is a guy that's always knocked on the door at Augusta and at other majors, and has just had so many top tens and not made it. I'll go Russell Henley just as a little bit of a. It's a safe pick, but he's also not a. It's not a Rory pick either, so I'll go him.
No, I like that. I normally go for I feel I normally do a heart and a head. So I think your heart is probably like the most of the golfing world with Rory, right? I mean,
For sure, for sure. I just
want
like
to see it happen because
just
I
do
feel
it,
like
man.
once it does, the floodgates open.
I
Feel
agree.
like
I think he could win two or three
yeah,
jackets. I think he could win more
yeah,
U.S. Opens. Like he's just
it's all
come
mental at
so
this point.
close,
Yeah, yeah.
agonizingly close. But yeah, I hope he can do it. Yeah, who do you think is gonna take it away?
So heart's Rory. That's
Okay.
what I want. That's what I think the world the world needs is Rory
Yeah.
to win a Masters and just have that green jacket. But my head, and this name keeps popping up in my head, and to quantify it, he's been playing much better, and once he gets going, he's an issue. I think JT might. I think
Oh yeah.
I just feel
He
like
is
his
coming
game's
back into form.
trending a bit. I mean, he had a really
Yeah.
bad year last year, still
Yeah.
got in the Ryder Cup team somehow.
Yeah.
He didn't.
I was a little, yeah, I was on Team Keegan for that. I'm glad Tegan's got the captaincy. It's a little bit of redemption for him, but I wanted
Yeah,
Keegan on that. That I really did. Yeah.
it's a merit-based
Um,
system, and JT did not merit being there last year.
yeah, it was, yeah, it's
But
tough. I sometimes wonder if there are too many captain's picks, but whatever. That's
yeah,
conversation for another day. But yeah, no, I think JT, I think that could be a good
yeah,
pick.
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If it's JT, Rory coming down the stretch, there's only one person I think
Oh, for sure.
anyone wants to see get that done.
Seriously.
But
Yeah.
then I'm probably forgetting a lot of the live guys that could still come there and
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
some great golf and win. Don't think it ever sets itself up well for Bryson, but
No, he's never had too much success there, but yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be
Ugh,
good. It's
live.
only a month away
Yeah.
now.
I know.
So
I can't believe it. It's I have one a friend of mine is going. He still works for the MGA and he does
oh,
partnerships and stuff for them. And he's gone before. I think he's going this year.
amazing.
Just yeah, the stories he tells. He's like it's however great you think it's going to be, it's actually better. It's the
Yeah,
only sporting event that is not overhyped. It lives up to and exceeds your expectations. So yeah, one
unbelievable. I have
day,
a
one
friend who
day.
enters the ballot every year, and I'm like, you're not going to get a ticket. Not going to happen. But if you do,
It's so hard. Yeah, but if you do, yeah,
yeah.
I will be your
But
best
if you
friend
do,
forever. Yeah,
if you
exactly.
buy one plane ticket, you might as well buy another. What's the
Come
point?
on, yeah. Exactly.
So Dave, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much
Same here,
for
man.
coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for my yardage book holder, my scorecard holder. They are pride of place, as part of my golf collection, and I'll continue to use them and send you the pics as they get broken down over time and look that
Please,
little bit more weathered and from
please
the
do. I
English
really
weather.
appreciate the kind words, Dave, and really the support. It's been great. Awesome collabing with you on this. And yeah, man, this was a treat. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome, Dave. Thank you.